film opens on a seemingly normal road trip. We meet Hanif and his wife, a lovely couple driving somewhere with their 3 children. Hanif, you see, was an orphan. He was adopted, but his first real home was an orphanage, and now the man who owned and ran it, the owner, was very sick. So, they were driving out to the old orphanage to see him one last time. As they're driving along, just lost in their thoughts, they feel a terrible jolt. Thump! Something collapsed against their car. They immediately pull over and get out to check. At the corner of the road, there was a dead deer. They feel that pang of sadness you get when you see an animal like that, but they figure it was just a terrible accident and they drive on. But here's the first unsettling part. As their car pulls away, the camera lingers, and we see something they missed. Huddled at the corner of the road, soaked in blood, is a girl. We can't tell if she's alive or dead. It's a truly disturbing image. Soon enough, they reach the old orphanage, and you can imagine the joy. Hanif is immediately surrounded by his childhood friends, people he grew up with, who also came back after hearing about the owner. It's this lovely, happy reunion, but there's a serious underlying reason for it, of course. Hanif learns that almost everyone was adopted, except for 2 kids who grew up there and still live on the grounds. Among those who grew up there is this girl named Rani. She and another girl are showing Hanif and the others around. Rani is quite open. She tells Hanif that she came to the orphanage when she was just 10 and that she's always held on to this hope that her mother will eventually return for her. As they're getting the tour of the rooms, Hanif's young son, Haki, wanders off toward a door that has clearly been closed for years. Rani sees him approaching it and her whole demeanor changes. She starts telling the story of that room and it's chilling. Years ago, a caretaker of the orphanage lived in there. One day, this caretaker became convinced that one of the girls was haunted or possessed. She would scream at the girl. Then, the girl went missing. No one ever knew what happened to her. The caretaker herself became utterly insane. No one could control her. The management, in a desperate move, decided to imprison her in her own room. She was locked in. She screamed and banged her head against that door, begging someone to let her out. But before the door was ever opened, she was dead. And that door has been sealed ever since. Haki, naturally, is terrified and runs back to his dad. It turns out Hanif was talking about the very same thing. He was showing a picture of the old caretaker, saying she had gone mad. Later that night, after they all had dinner, Hanif goes out to his car. He takes one look at the front bonnet and is absolutely astonished. There's blood and a piece of cloth stuck to the front of his car. His mind immediately races. Was it really the deer I hit, or was it someone else? He takes one of his friends and they drive back to that spot on the road. The deer is still there. But then his friend sees it on the other side of the road. The girl is still there, and she is definitively dead. But that's not all. Right next to her is an old, rusty orphanage bus. They cautiously go inside and are met with a scene of pure horror. All the babies inside the bus are injured, their faces are mutilated, they have been brutally killed. This was no accident. These children were deliberately murdered. They are completely shocked and try to call the police. But of course, there's no network signal. The police station is too far away, so they make the difficult decision to take the dead girl with them back to the orphanage. When they get back, one of the 2 boys who grew up there and stay behind sees them and asks where they've been. He sees the dead body of the girl in their car, and Hanif spills everything. "I hit her with my car. Everyone is scared. But the weirdest thing is that I saw a bus full of dead kids." The network is still down, so the young man volunteers. "I'll go check what happened." He drives to the bus alone, goes inside, and this is where it gets truly nightmarish. The kids on the bus. They're not dead, they're just standing there, facing the other way. Before he can figure out what he's seeing, he gets scared and tries to get out, but the bus door slams shut. He's trapped. He looks outside and sees a terrifying figure in a black costume standing there. Then, the kids inside the bus start to move. Something inside the bus starts oozing out a mass of insects, and those insects crawl and enter the body of the poor man trapped inside. It's an incredibly creepy scene. The man dies because of those insects. Meanwhile, back at the orphanage, things are falling apart. One of the other girls is standing in front of a mirror holding a knife and an apple. She looks at herself and sees that she's fat. And then, horrifyingly, she starts cutting her own body while staring into the mirror. She is possessed. No one harms themselves like that willingly. In another room, a different girl is sleeping. Suddenly, worms fall onto her, and they burrow right under her skin. She screams in pain as they slither inside her. She feels this terrible, creeping sensation. When the husband of the girl who was cutting herself arrives, he's terrified by what his wife has done to herself. But when the girl finally snaps out of the possession, she is equally horrified and immediately faints. As he calls Hanif and his wife, the girl full of worms arrives. She starts vomiting blood, and massive worms come out. But not all of them. Some are still wriggling beneath her skin, making her feel utterly repulsive. She starts frantically peeling off her skin to try and get them out, making her condition worse and worse. Hanif's wife quickly throws the two afflicted friends in the car to take them to the hospital. But here is where things turn utterly strange. They drive and drive toward the hospital, and they keep arriving back at the orphanage home. Their path has been turned into a loop, a cube. They are trapped. It's at this point that Hanif reveals a terrible, dark secret. The caretaker, he tells them, she wasn't just mad, she was a bad person. He explains that 25 years ago, she practiced black magic and sacrificed 3 children. Hanif and his 2 friends, the one now dead on the bus was one of them, had seen her do it and ran away. He realizes that the caretaker must be behind all this, and that's why they can't escape. The path is in a loop to keep them there. Hanif's fear brings the orphanage owner out of his sickbed, and he tells the kids, "We have to lock her in her room." Then Hanif, filled with guilt, confesses the rest of the story. After the caretaker died in that room, Hanif and his friends buried her body right there on the floor. Meanwhile, the children are suffering the horrors of the place. Hanif's elder son is seen stapling his own lips closed. Haki, the younger one, is watching something on a video player, and a dreadful face appears. He runs to his older brother, who is now completely out of control. The older boy picks up a gun and shoots at his younger brother. Miraculously, the gun doesn't hurt Haki. It fires only rats. Hanif and his wife, having lost track of their sons, decide to flee immediately. Hanif's wife goes to the owner's room, who is lying sick in bed. She sees something under his bed. A box. Inside the box are photographs of some girls. Seeing them, it becomes sickeningly clear the sick owner wasn't a good man at all. He used to beat and misbehave with the girls. The horrifying truth is revealed. The caretaker, the woman Hanif thought was evil, was actually trying to save the girls from the owner. The owner, wanting to cover up his abuse, convinced the kids, including Hanif, that the caretaker was evil and possessed. That's why she was locked up, killed, and buried, to silence her. If the owner is sick and the caretaker is dead, then who is doing all this? They immediately suspect Rani, thinking maybe the owner abused her too, and she's taking revenge. But then Rani herself arrives and says, "No, it must be the caretaker, she was killed so brutally." Right then, the girl who Hanif thought he'd hit with his car walks in. She's alive. She explains what happened. "We were all going on a picnic from the orphanage." But then, a woman in a black dress came onto our bus. When she stepped inside, all the kids became possessed. They lost all control. It was black magic. She was chanting spells. I was only spared because I had headphones on and didn't hear the incantation. When I saw what was happening to the others, I ran. I hid in the fields, and then, yes, Uncle Hanif's car hit me, but by pure luck, I'm still alive. I came back to tell you everything so you can figure out what is really happening. Hanif is overcome with guilt. The caretaker was a good woman, and he helped kill and bury her based on a lie. In a fit of anger, he moves to attack the sick owner, but his wife stops him. He spots a photograph and turns it over. Written on the back is the name of the girl who went missing all those years ago. He realizes she is the one doing all this. As they try to leave, their injured sons appear. But before they can get out the door, the lady in the black dress appears right in front of them. The missing girl. She immediately uses her black magic to try and choke Hanif. She even possesses Nadia and tries to make her kill Hanif. But from behind, Rani strikes her. And then comes the final shocking reveal. Rani is the daughter of the woman wearing the black dress, the missing girl. The black-dressed woman uses her magic to give everyone in the orphanage immense pain. People are writhing. Someone's fingers are breaking. They are drawn to the room where the caretaker was buried, which is now filled with glowing candles. A ritual is being performed. Hanif's wife confronts the possessed woman. "Why are you doing this? We agree you can punish the people who killed that lady, but why did you murder those small children?" The black-dressed woman looks at her and replies chillingly, "It was better this way. If they stayed here, they would also be abused. It's a good thing I killed them." Then she turns to Hanif's wife and says the ultimate test, "Your husband was involved in this too. If you kill your husband, I will let you and your sons leave this place alive." Hanif's wife cannot bring herself to do it. But then, their older son, Hakwi, stabs the black-dressed woman. Hanif's wife seizes the moment and slices the woman's neck. Her head detaches, but she simply reattaches her neck and comes back to attack them again. Hanif's wife has one last idea. She grabs the ritual candles and throws them at the woman. The black-dressed woman is immediately consumed by fire and dies. It turns out the ritual candles were the only thing that could kill her, as they held great power. With the black magic gone, the possessed people come to their senses. Hanif and his family, along with the others, prepare to leave the orphanage for good. They do not take the owner out with them, believing it is his time to finally receive punishment for his sins. The scene shifts to a few days later. Hanif's wife is going to pick up her sons from school. As she's waiting in the car, the shadow of the black-dressed girl, the one they killed, is cast right outside her car window. She quickly gets out of the car, but the girl is nowhere to be found. And with that final, unsettling moment, the movie ends.